Welcome to today's meditation. On the Divine Mother at the Haidakhandi Universal Ashram. We'll begin with a small reading from the Haidakhandi Saptasati by Sastri. O Mother, if we constantly remember thine image in the lotus of our hearts, we will attain pure liberation, and our mind will always be composed without greed and deception. Incessantly I want to pray to thee, O Mother, with lowered head and arms outstretched I beg. Please grant me pure and firm devotion, dispeller of all fears. Now we'll sit for 20 minutes. I'll ring you in and then ring you out. Jai Ma. Now we'll complete today's meditation with a short story. This is from the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, and it's about Vedavyasa, who wrote the beautiful Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Purana. It's about his son Sukadeva. Vedavyasa wanted his son Sukadeva to become married, and Sukadeva kept resisting, saying that that wasn't for him. He wanted to go straight to enlightenment. So here's the story about when he got more clear by going to King Janaka's ashram, his kingdom in Mithila. So Vedavyasa saw his son disconsolate and asked him, "My child, why are you so full of care, like a man who is deep in debt? It seems your heart gives you no peace, and nothing I say can change that. In the city of Mithila, there lives a king who is also an enlightened Muni. His name is Janaka. Go to him, Sukha. He will deliver you from your confusion, for he's a Jiva Mukta, a liberated one while he is living." Sukha cried, "Incredible! He is a king, father, who rules a kingdom. How can Janaka be enlightened? It is like a barren woman having a son, or darkness and light existing in the same place. But I must go and see for myself. Please give me leave, father." Sukha prostrated himself at Vyasa's feet. With tears in his eyes, Vyasa Muni raised his son up and embraced him. He said, "Go then if you must, but please promise you will return to me when you have seen Janaka, and then remain with me always. Ah, my son, you are the light of my life." Thus Sukadeva set out from his father's ashram for Mithila, the kingdom of King Janaka. Wondering at the marvelous world that unfolded before him as he went along, Sukha made for Mithila, which was a very long way from his father's ashram. It was another practical education for this brilliant young man. He passed over white mountains and came down into jade plains. He forded great blue rivers and crossed many climes and kingdoms. He encountered all manners of men on his way, from every occupation and every walk of life. He passed through deep jungles where he saw only rishis who lived in tapasya. Among these, he saw men that worshipped Shiva and Shakti, Ganapati and Surya, Indra, Vishnu, and many other gods as well. After a long journey, Sukha reached Mithila. He stood at the door, and there a guard met him. And he said, "Oh my gosh, I've come all this way, and I'm not even being able to come into the kingdom." As Sukha spoke, his dust came off of him, and he began to shine, and the guard knew that he should let him in. And the same thing happened as he walked into the castle, but soon they allowed him to come in. And he spent the night there, and later that next morning, Janaka came to meet Sukha. The king came with his court priest, and Janaka said, "Holy One, I see you are free of desire. Why is a rishi coming like you here to me?" Sukha replied, "My father Vedavyasa said to me, 'Child, take a wife because this stage of life is good for you. But I believe that marriage is bondage and want no part of it.' Vyasa said that being married, one could still be detached. He sent me to you, saying you ruled a kingdom were yet a Jiva Mukta. My lord, I want moksha. Nothing but moksha will satisfy me." King Janaka said, "Moksha is hard to attain. A man must first experience the 4 stages of life, of a student, a householder, a renasya, and finally an ascetic, before he comes to freedom. No man who has not experienced all these stages of life can become a true sannyas. Sukha said, but if a man has detachment before he lives these different stages, can't he become a sannyas straight away? Janaka said gravely, you are my guru's son, and I tell you the truth. If a man enters sannyas with his desires unfulfilled, they are liable to waylay him without warning. He who makes his bed on a cliff can fall to his death, but the man who sleeps on flat ground is no such danger. Desire is powerful. A man never relinquishes his cravings. The only way to free oneself of desire is to the slow and gradual path prescribed by the Vedas. The king smiled, and Sukha saw how full of grace he was. Janaka said softly, sinless one, look at me. I live in the world of the thick of every activity, yet nothing binds my spirit. I am a free man. Bright youth, this world of illusion cannot deceive the soul. When the heart is pure and calm, then all the world is untainted and tranquil. The enemy is not outside. Every demon lives in one's own heart. The mind binds a man, not his circumstances. Sukha said doubtfully, my lord, the mere mention of a lamp in a dark room does not dispel its darkness. A householder lives in the thick of the deluded and violent night of samsara. How can he be free? When you are a king, O Janaka, enjoy the wealth and power of your kingdom, how can you be a jiva mukta? Don't you think of this great kingdom as being your own? Don't you make a difference between pleasure and pain, the garland of flowers and of a serpent? But the true mukta is beyond every attachment. I fear it is a royal vanity that makes you think yourself as being as enlightened. Why, even ascetic munis who subsist on roots and fruits on the earth fall prey to this world's maya. Janaka smiled tolerantly at the young youth. He said, you speak cleverly, Sukha, but the truth is that you are full of doubt and anxiety. When I am not, I have no doubt that I am free. Not your cleverest arguments can change that. Remember that it is you who has journeyed all the way here to seek peace in your heart. I, Sukha, am already at peace. I stay here in my kingdom. Do you think if you live in the heart of the forest, you will be free of the doubts that torment you? Why, the jungle is full of bondage as much as my kingdom. The forest has 5 elements. How will you be freer in the forest than you are here? Moksha is within you. Indeed, what you imagine to be less conducive circumstance to attain moksha may well be the very one that sets you free. Perhaps because the time had come, Sukha suddenly felt his doubts melt away. Janaka had said nothing to him that his guru Brihaspati and his father had not. Yet the manner in which the Lord of Mithila argued, and most of all his cheerful detachment, struck a deep chord in Sukadevi. Vyasa's son felt like a man who had set down a great burden that he was hardly aware of carrying. He smiled radiantly at Janaka and said with feelings, Sadhu, sadhu. Then he prostrated himself and he walked on back to his home, feeling happier than he had for a long time. His father ran out to meet him. He clasped him to his breast and covered his face with kisses. The youth was now at peace and quietly pursued the studies. He did not argue with his father, and after some weeks, when Vyasa cautiously broached the subject about him getting married, he said, "As you wish, Father, if it will make you happy, I will enter the married life." Vyasa was overjoyed. Sukha was married to a chaste girl called Pivari, who was also a rishi's daughter. She was a devoted wife, and they had 4 beautiful sons. Vyasa watched his son's family in quiet delight, and Sukha was so happy that if he ever looked back to the time when he was stubbornly refused to marry, he would laugh to himself that he had been so afraid. And yet he never gave up the quest for moksha. Indeed, as Janaka had hinted to him, being a husband, father, and grandfather only made him seek the truth more fervently than ever. In time, Sukha climbed the Mount Kailash alone and sat in profound meditation, and he became one with all. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. We'll meet again on Tuesday, on Monday at 3 o'clock. I'll also post this on YouTube so people can watch it again. And I would also love to hear feedback about how it is and what you would like to hear. Bole Baba ki jai. Thank you for being here.